Okay, the supplies that you need for this activity. You need the dissecting tray, you need the forceps, dissecting scissors, and a couple of probes. And of course, yes, you need Krusty the crayfish. Say hello. Hi guys. Yep, I'm gonna be gone soon. So get those things. You also need gloves, and if you don't wear glasses, get a pair of safety glasses from the goggle cabinet. The other thing that you will need is the class dissection guide. You'll have one per every crayfish that's being dissected, so you and your partner, and each person will have the dissection worksheet. One of these will be turned in, one of them will be kept. To start things off, on the dissection guide, the big long one, there's some background material. Look through the background material on the first page and study the diagram on the second page. The first part of our dissection activity will be involved in looking at the external anatomy of our crayfish. And this goes all the way through number 10. You'll come to a part that says part 2, internal anatomy. So that's where you stop and get ready to do the actual dissection. One term or two terms that you do need to be familiar with as we do the dissections are dorsal and ventral. Remember, dorsal, a shark has a dorsal fin like Jaws. Yep. Dorsal fin is on the back, so the back side is the dorsal side, and the ventral side then is the belly side. So go through part 1 of your dissection guide and identify all of the different parts on the external anatomy of the crayfish. The antennas, the antennule, the chelipeds, all that, dorsal and ventral. And answer the appropriate questions both on the dissection worksheet for both you and your partner. Also forgot to tell you, when you get to number 10 or number 9, it asks you to figure out if your crawfish is a male or a female. We have magnifying glasses at the back for you to use that. Also, you're going to want to use the magnifying glass and look for either the genital opening, which if it's a female, there will be a genital opening, or sperm duct openings if it's a male. So you've now finished the external anatomy of the crawfish, and you know all the parts on the outside. Now we're going to look at the inside. In order to do this, clear your dissecting tray, and you are going to cut off the carapace. You are going to cut off the carapace by starting pointy end down, starting at the back end between the cephalothorax and the abdomen right here. You're going to cut up, follow this curve and this line down straight across under the behind the eyes, and then on the same side. So it's going to go like this. And you also want to kind of try to keep your scissors pointed up so that you don't damage any of the tissue underneath as best as possible. It is hard, but it's not impossible. And you can take pieces off as you cut so that they're out of the way. Okay, so now I'm going to come around the other side and do the same thing. And I'm going to come up behind the eyes and can use my forceps, or a little bit easier. There we go. Take those off and then peel that part off. Okay, so now you've exposed the gills, and I cut a little bit too deeply there, but that's okay. We can still see things. I've exposed the gills for sure. Those are these feathery structures right here. Okay, really, really nice. I can use the magnifying glass to look more closely at the gills, or I can use the stereoscope to look more closely at the gills. Now, once I've gotten the carapace removed and I can visualize all of the organs on the dorsal side, I'm going to follow the dissecting guide and look at as much as I can in that way. These are injected, so the pink red you see does follow the circulatory system. One of the things that you're going to do in the dissection on your worksheet that you're turning in, you will glue body parts to the chart on the back. So you are going to cut off different body parts. We're going to be focusing on the respiratory system and the mouth parts, digestive system on that. So you're going to cut body parts off and glue them on, and when you cut them off, you're going to cut them off as close to the base as possible. So one of the things I want is a walking leg. So I'm going to take a walking leg and cut it off and glue that on. The other thing to notice that's really, really cool is that as the legs move, as the walking legs move, the gills move. Remember that crawfish live in the water and they get oxygen from the water. So in order to get the most oxygen possible, they want water always moving over the gills. And as they walk, water gets moved over the gills. They also have a set of mouth parts at the front called balers, and those keep water moving also over their mouth parts. As you get ready to look at the mouth parts, there are many of them. Okay, there are maxilla and there's maxillipeds, and then within all of that are the mandibles, and that's the part that are the farthest in. You know you found the mandibles. They're very, very hard and they're comb shaped, and I can usually pry them open. In this case, this one, I can pry them open and I can actually look down into the gullet. The mandibles are going to be one part also you're going to cut off and put on the chart. So again, you're going to, I've gotten all these other ones cut off. I'm going to go down as far as I can to the base of the mandible, and I'm going to cut that off and use my tweezers and pull it out, and it's not coming out. The mandible is kind of comb shaped. It's got a toothed end to it, and as I said, it's very hard. It's what it uses. Okay, there we go. Okay, so whoops, here's the mandible. Okay, there's the mandible, and you can see the toothed edge right here. Okay, once you have all of the appendages removed and glued onto your chart, including all the different mouth parts, the last thing that you could do is to cut through the exoskeleton on the ventral side, and you would start that down at the base of the fourth walking leg and go upwards up to the mouth parts. When you do that, you can open it and you can visualize nerve cord as well as some other parts of the digestive system. These, if you see them, great. If not, not a big deal. We are focusing, as I said, on respiratory system and mouth parts. So the last part is cleanup. When you are cleaning up, you are going to take all body parts that are not on the chart. You are going to wrap them up in a paper towel and dispose of them in the trash can. You will then take another paper towel, clean off all instruments and make sure they're dry, any instruments you used, and also take a paper towel or bacterial wipe and clean off the dissecting tray. Put all of the instruments back on the dissecting tray and put the dissecting tray back on the table. Again, all trash in the trash can. Then make sure that your worksheet is ready to turn in. If the glue is wet, leave it open and set out on the table for the glue to dry.